The retirement of a swing vote conservative justice on the United States Supreme Court will allow President Donald Trump to put his conservative stamp on the court's composition, likely leading to a greater alienation in the country.
Well, that's the view of a political analyst in the wake of Wednesday's announcement by Conservative Associate Justice Anthony Kennedy that he would be leaving the court after 2 decades.
And with Republicans holding a slim majority in the Senate, Democrats are left with few options to block any future Trump pick.
With Kennedy's retirement at the end of July, the composition of the court is expected to swing even further to the right, while the progressive wing includes the oldest members of the court, 85-year-old Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the almost 80-year-old Stephen Breyer.
Anthony Kennedy was appointed in 1988, not all that long ago in the grand scheme of things, but he was part of an old school type of justice. He was a man who has been pretty consistently conservative, but on various issues, particularly on abortion, on gay marriage in the United States, he jumped across the aisle, if you will, and joined liberal justices in preserving the right for Americans to get abortions, American women to get abortions, preserving the right for gay couples to get married and receive full benefits in the United States. And now, much like in Congress, where most representatives are very clearly Republican or Democrat and don't ever leave their camps, modern Supreme Court justices are also very much team players. And I think we can expect whoever replaces Kennedy to be more even consistently conservative than he was.
Activists are concerned that a more conservative replacement could see progressive social issues rolled back and the court moving even further to the right for a generation to come, while Democrats have urged the delay of any Senate confirmation until after the midterm elections, citing Republican Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's refusal to give former President Barack Obama's last pick even a hearing because 2016, as he put it, was a presidential election year. While Democrats are calling McConnell's eagerness to confirm the new pick in the months ahead the height of hypocrisy, they are left with few options.
There are a lot of problems with the way justices are picked in the United States. In some states, they are elected by voters, and of course voters, if they're Republicans or Democrats, they want someone who's just like them. And even political appointees, the way justices are picked for the Supreme Court has also become much more partisan through the years. Last year, you had Republicans in Congress eliminate something called the filibuster, which gave the minority party the ability to stall a nomination by just holding open the vote indefinitely. And Mitch McConnell, the head of the Senate, deployed what's called the nuclear option, nuclear because it destroys precedent in the U.S. government, and now only 50 votes out of a 100-member body are needed in order to get a Supreme Court justice through. Republicans have 51 votes. There are probably some Democrats who will come across the aisle and vote for whoever Trump picks. The math just doesn't work for Democrats here.
The minority party likely to use the nomination process to rally its supporters ahead of the midterms in November.
One thing that the replacement of Justice Kennedy with another conservative justice who will serve for his or her lifetime is going to do is just deepen the sense of alienations Americans feel when they look at the composition of the government. We are living in a country with 80% of Americans living in urban areas, and yet overrepresentation of rural issues in Congress. 51% women in the U.S., but only 25% of elected offices are held by women. A more diverse country that's also more xenophobic, and a country that is becoming more socially liberal with time, and yet our courts, which make most of the precedent-setting decisions pertaining to social issues in the United States, is staying conservative and could even become more conservative.
As Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States.
Supreme Court justices are appointed to lifetime terms, unlike Constitutional Court judges in South Africa, who serve a non-renewable 12-year term or until they reach the age of 70. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.